can!
It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get this week started. Now, sport is all about resilience, to never quit, never give up. Even when, as the popular saying goes, the writing is on the wall. That is our focus here on Firstpost today. It's the spirit of fighting on, whether it is being the underdogs in a Super Bowl face-off, under the pump, behind the 8 ball, like Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs were. Or if you are on a football pitch, on the cusp of creating history. You have fought cancer and your team is on the brink of defeat, like Sebastian Haller and the Ivory Coast. Or it is the winning mentality, something that is now second skin to you, that pulls you out of impossible situations to create impactful, meaningful, big wins, like the Australian cricket teams. All of that on show tonight, but first, all the headlines in Sports 360. We'll start with football. It was yet another week of madness in the English Premier League. Erling Haaland found the net twice in Manchester City's 2-0 win over Everton, keeping their hopes alive. Liverpool beat Burnley 3-1 to go on top of the points table over in London. Arsenal continued to compete against City and Liverpool. The London side beat West Ham 6-0 to go level on points, with City, who are second. Manchester United, on the other hand, continued to keep their Champions League hopes alive, beating Aston Villa 2-1 to go sixth in the points table. Men's marathon world record holder Kelvin Kiptum died in a road accident yesterday. He was killed in a car along with his coach in Kenya. Police said that Kiptum was the driver and the vehicle lost control and rolled over, killing the two on the spot. The 24-year-old set the world record at the Chicago Marathon with a time of 2 hours and 35 seconds. Over in the AFC Asian Cup, hosts Qatar beat Jordan 3-1 to win their second consecutive AFC Asian Cup title. Akram Afif scored thrice from the penalty spot to seal it for Qatar. With this, Qatar have won the AFC Asian Cup twice now. Over in cricket, Australia beat West Indies by 34 runs in the second T20 International. Glenn Maxwell scored 120 of 55 deliveries and was just player of the match. He's now level with Rohit Sharma on most T20 centuries. Australia are 2-0 up in the 3-match series. The final game will be played on the 13th of February in Perth. And rounding it off from the world of tennis, India's Sumit Nagal is set to break into the top 100 of the ATP World Rankings for the first time in his career. He defeated Italy's Luca Nardi 6-1, 6-4 in the Chennai Open. It was his 5th title on the ATP Challenger Tour. Before Nagal, the last Indian to enter the top 100 was Prajnesh Guneshwaran in 2019. The highest-ranked Indian men's singles player ever has been Somdev Devvarman when he was ranked 62 in the world. Now, it's been an iconic year for NFL, National Football League. The Super Bowl just concluded, and what an electrifying contest that proved to be. We'll get you more on that in just a bit, but if there was ever a fairy tale picture-perfect ending to a season, this would have to be it. There was one team that hogged all the headlines, not only because they were playing some of the best football, but they managed to be the talking point even when they weren't. Taylor Swift's connection with NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs has made this season, and the Chiefs in particular, one of the most followed clubs in NFL history. The fairy tale ending meant Kansas City Chiefs, an underdog side going into this one, would stop the very dominant San Francisco 49ers in their tracks. It was going to be a massive challenge, particularly when most of the season, a Super Bowl appearance seemed like a long shot for the Chiefs, a near impossible task. But the Chiefs had come with that mission in mind. And when I say Chiefs, I say Captain Patrick Mahomes, the man who clearly had the vision and led with conviction. The Chiefs were coming into this final with an underdog tag to their name, but they showed the swagger from the start. Take a look at how they entered the stadium in Las Vegas. Most of the Chiefs walked into the stadium dressed in all blacks formal, slick, and looking like they had a point to prove. That win or lose, they were not going to be pushovers. It was the perfect matchup. On one side, there was a team that probably shouldn't have made it to the Super Bowl, heavily reliant on the skills and talents of their captain. With the exception of a couple of players in Travis Kelce and rookie Rashee Rice, Mahomes was surrounded by receivers who really weren't up to the mark, which meant they had to rely on their defense tactics. And up against them were the 49ers, led by Brock Purdy. It was a team boasting of the best offensive ensemble. The first quarter was a scoreless scramble, as you'd imagine. Unexpectedly, the 49ers came on strong to take the lead. At one stage, the Chiefs were down double digits. Now, I'm not going to relive every minute detail, but we ought to look at a few moments that became sort of markers of the Super Bowl showdown that will stand as hallmark moments from this contest that we'll go back with. Like when Travis Kelce gave out a frustrating roar towards the head coach Andy Reid on the sidelines, the Niners were putting considerable pressure on the Super Bowl defending champions. One man, though, was soaking it all up, and he will be the one other reason Super Bowl 2024, in fact, and the NFL will be remembered: Patrick Mahomes. Now, I say one other, and I'll come to reason number two in just a bit. Kelce, after the match, said that no matter the situation, the time on the clock, Patrick Mahomes will always have magic in his arm. And it is to no surprise then that Mahomes has played all 4 Super Bowls in his career trailing by double digits. So he knows a thing or two about playing under pressure. And even though the pressure was showing on his teammates, he kept his cool and rallied them around him. One stunning field goal, a record-breaking 57-yarder by Harrison Butker, cut the Niners' lead down a bit marginally, but there was some sloppiness from the Niners as well on their part that resulted in the scores going level, and Chiefs then even taking the lead 13-10. It was at this point that both captains decided to step up and play at another level altogether. Both created some tactical genius moves and passes for their sides. If Purdy's brilliance coupled with Jake Moody's magic took the Niners to 19-16 with 3 seconds left, it was Mahomes' inspired work that got the scores tied at 19-all and force an overtime for only the second occasion in Super Bowl history. The last time a Super Bowl was decided in overtime was back in 2016. The Niners took a 22-19 lead in overtime. Minutes wound down, but the Chiefs were not giving up. They pushed and pushed, and with seconds left, Mahomes' super pass found his teammate Mecole Hardman on the goal line for a historic 25-22 win. A back-to-back win, which is special in Super Bowls. And it was also Mahomes' 3rd Super Bowl title. What an achievement for the 28-year-old. And he doesn't want to hit the pause button just yet.
I think Tom said it best, is once you win that championship and you have those parades and you get those rings, you're not the champ anymore. You have to come back with that same mentality. And I learned from guys like that have been the greatest of all time at the top of the level. That's my mindset, is I'm going to celebrate with my guys because of how we done this. But then we're going to work our way to get back to this game next year.
He says something so important here, the mentality, so crucial in big situations, in tense situations, in moments where things can easily slip away from you. He mentions the legendary Tom Brady, who's got the most Super Bowl titles under his belt. And why not? Patrick Mahomes, with 3, is inching towards him and dreams of possibly equaling him at some stage too. The desire to be the best is evident in Mahomes' mentality and his method. And the captain summed up the Chiefs' campaign in the season rather aptly. A team that simply defended its way to glory in all the ways possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's special. I think it's that championship mindset. I mean, whenever stuff isn't going great, we're going to continue to fight. And this game we had times we weren't playing great, especially the offense, and we were able to step up to the occasion while the defense is making those stops. And people are going to talk about the offense because we had those last few drives, but the defense is what kept us in that game, and that's our entire season. They're going to give us chances, and we're going to make it happen when it counts.
Now, I said Mahomes was reason number 1 that we would remember this NFL season and the Super Bowl for years to come. And this season, for what's reason number 2 then? Has to be Taylor and Travis saga. The two put Kansas City Chiefs up on the popular culture radar. They made the club cool. They made NFL so much more cooler. And they definitely ended up being the most watched side. Sure, the celebrity attendees and the performances at halftime do enough to get the world talking. This year, it was Usher being behind the mic, Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, LeBron James all in the stands that got the glamour quotient up. But the Grammy winner, for a 4th time now, Taylor Swift has made this season the most memorable and most rewarding one yet. Sure, she gets the hate. In fact, a few of the Niners fans booed her when she was shown on the big screen for the first time during the match. But that's just the noise that is not so significant enough. Not close to as significant as the contribution that Taylor Swift's attendance has made to the sport itself. More people are watching it, more women are watching it. NFL always had their superstars, their top performers. They are being talked about a lot more now and in different circles, all thanks to Taylor Swift. Andy Murray's tweet sort of sums it up, where he congratulates Taylor Swift for a great Super Bowl win, really indicating what a lucky charm she's proved to be and also what she's brought to the NFL in so many ways. Travis Kelce, of course, cheekily said after the win that the pressure on him was immense. He had to match up to his girlfriend, who completed her music tour, hopped on a private jet to get to Las Vegas to cheer him on, and managed to pocket a Grammy award for her album On the Way too. Talk about being an overachiever. No team has ever won 3 Super Bowl titles in a row though, and Patrick Mahomes says that is what's on his mind now. Sure, it's great to celebrate as one should. It's not often you win a Super Bowl, but he's quick to say Mission 2025 is well and truly on. So did Kelce at the podium when the trophy was given right after the win. He couldn't control his emotions. The Chiefs are gunning for the title number 3 on the trot. And when the next season begins, they're surely not going to be coming in as just underdogs. Now, it seems like it was a glorious month for host nations. We saw Qatar lift the AFC Asian Cup. And then there was the Ivory Coast, who beat Nigeria 2-1 to win their 3rd AFCON, or African Cup of Nations title. And it was Sebastian Haller who scored a dramatic late winner. After the end of the first half, Nigeria were in fact leading 1-0. However, Frank Kessie equalized just after the hour mark to make it 1-1. The stage was set for Haller to win it for the Elephants. It was in the 81st minute, in fact, that Haller speared his way into the net, and thus was written another fairy tale script. Ivory Coast's sense of destiny was simply too overpowering, and I'll tell you why. They became the first host country to win the AFCON since 2006. The 60,000 capacity stadium was packed to witness the historic moment. What makes the win even more special is the fact that the champions were on the brink of elimination during the group stage. You remember all the angry fans after their 4-0 loss to Equatorial Guinea. The management was livid, and in a classic knee-jerk reaction, they went ahead right in the middle of the tournament to sack their coach Jean-Louis Gasset. The team looked like they were in shambles. There was little to no way out from there, and they were staring at a horrible exit. Emmers Faye, a former player, replaced Gasset as coach. Faye began a remarkable turnaround. It was written in Faye's destiny to win it as their coach. From there on, Ivory Coast ousted defending champions Senegal on penalties, beat Mali with a last-minute goal in extra time, and edged out Democratic Republic of Congo before beating Nigeria in the final. What a comeback journey. After the roller coaster ride during the tournament, the Ivory Coast coach reflected on this incredible AFCON journey.
It's more than a fairy tale, frankly. I still can't believe we have done it. When I think back to everything we went through during the competition, the difficult moments, the times when we were behind and came back at the last minute, it's extraordinary. It's a huge opportunity. We are miraculous. We went and got the cup because we didn't give up, because we fought right to the end, and we showed that we are men, that we know how to bounce back despite the hard times.
And while it was happiness for one side, it was disbelief for the other. Despite leading in the first half, Nigeria was heartbroken after that loss.
I agree with you. Our team did a fantastic tournament, but today, Cote was better, did a very good game. Our team didn't play or didn't show our level. Is the truth. No the same individual quality and collective performance like we did until now. When this happened, only I must say congratulations for Cote d'Ivoire. Was better than us today. Congratulations for my players because they did a fantastic job until today.
Nigeria still had the chance if it wasn't for one man, the star of the show, Sebastian Haller. It was a Dingra's cross and Holler's graceful diversion that took the ball into the far corner. Holler showed why he is a fighter who does not give up on the field or off it. In 2022, Holler was diagnosed with testicular cancer. Imagine that. We all know people who battled and have fought cancer in the past. It is the most painful thing to do, and witness someone close to you going through it is just as agonizing. And roughly 18 months later, here we are discussing the fighting tale of this man. Holler underwent 2 operations and 4 cycles of chemotherapy. Each cycle weakens you significantly. All of this meant he was away from the football field for a long time. He only returned to training in January 2023. Holler reflected on the whole situation. He even said it would take years for all of this to sink in.
Last 1.5 years, like you said, have been quite challenging for myself, for the family, for everyone. So yeah, I have the feeling that no matter what you want to do, something will happen. So I just take everything step by step, and I just try to enjoy also every moment. You know, take every choices to don't get any regrets. I just want to enjoy. So now at the moment, when you see the last months, what everything happened, yeah, it's a kind of a great moment today to be here in the front of you to speaking about the final for Africa Cup in your own country.
Holler's story is inspirational. His resilience and fighting spirit makes him a superstar. In addition to cancer, an ankle injury too kept him out of the group stages. But when he came back, there was no turning around. A story that will be told and retold for years to come, and is sure to motivate youngsters everywhere. It's a story that proves why sports can set everything right, just like the Sebastian Holler goal in the 81st minute for Ivory Coast. Now, it is difficult to stay consistent and keep winning at the highest level. But you only have to ask Australia, who with this under-19 title triumph over the weekend, have now stamped their class at the biggest stage, thrice over in the last 1 year alone. The World Test Championship final first, the ODI World Cup, the heartbreaking one for India, of course, and now this, the under-19 title. 3 different teams, 3 different formats, different conditions, but the same result. Seeing the despondent young Indian faces at the Under-19 World Cup final, I got immediately reminded of the Indian women too, losing in the final of the T20 World Cup in Australia just some years ago. The loss was just as bitter as the euphoria of them making it so far, and missing out by the smallest of margins. But I can't say that about this loss at the Under-19 World Cup though. Australia completely destroyed their opponents in the last 1 year. Whether it was the senior side, led by the much experienced Rohit Sharma, or the junior one captained by Uday Saharan, India's power-packed batting lineup imploded in the big final, and it became a one-sided encounter. After the youngsters failed to deliver under pressure, another common thread running through the 3 finals is the manner in which the Aussies played, and the dominance is not just restricted to men's cricket. The women in yellow recently beat India in the 2022 Commonwealth Games final too. All of this is not just sheer coincidence. They are big match players. Not to say the road to the final is irrelevant. You have to perform throughout to get to the final frontier. But the Aussies know how to pace themselves, keep the energy, the momentum, and that level of cricket on till they explode in the final. It's not just magic. There's work and an efficient system that ensures this. No matter what position they end up being in, they manage to wriggle out and get over the finish line. In the 2023 ODI World Cup, for instance, Aussies lost their first 2 games. Many even counted them out of the title contention. But they did the unthinkable, won their next 8 to clinch the World Cup title. And it isn't a phenomena that is recent. Though India seemed to have got on the other side of them repeatedly of late, we've seen leaders with that killer instinct on and off the field. Someone like a Ricky Ponting.
All the great teams that I've played with and all the great teams that I've been around have always had that belief that they can win from anywhere, and literally anywhere. Even World Cup campaigns that I played in, we had games where we probably shouldn't have won, but someone was there with that belief to put their hand up and win the game. And that's what I talk about with Australia in World Cups. They've got this knack of being able to just win the big moments, and today was a huge moment as they qualify for the World Cup semi-finals now, and hopefully onwards and upwards for them.
Now, contrastingly, despite the cricket craze and the massive infrastructure in place, India's failure to perform in clutch situations seems to be the constant factor in these defeats. India enjoyed a period of success under the legendary skipper MS Dhoni, who led them to 3 ICC tournament wins. But India's ICC trophy drought in senior cricket has now spanned for over a decade. The knack of winning, rightly as pointed out by a World Cup winner, Ricky Ponting, there's a method in the madness. You can sense that mentality every time the Aussies take the field. It isn't just mere intimidation. This was reflected during one of their group stage encounters in the ODI World Cup versus Afghanistan. Batting first, Afghanistan had piled on 291 for 5 and at one point had reduced Australia in response to 91 for 7. It was then that Glenn Maxwell took over and, despite cramping severely, went on to do something magical. He collapsed to the ground multiple times and could only power walk his way through the singles, but so dominant was his batting that his partner in the middle, Pat Cummins, the skipper, only needed to score 12 runs. Maxwell scored 201. And of course, we all remember that knock all too well.
After the first 2 games, people were quick to write us off. The belief was always there as a team. After today, it would have gone a bit higher.
We talk about that moment which gets the entire team together. Something similar, in fact, inspired the Australian under-19 side during their semi-final clash against Pakistan. An inspiring spell from Tom Straker pushed the Aussies. Straker, in fact, picked up 6 wickets and etched his name in the history books. He broke South African Kagiso Rabada's 10-year-old record of best bowling figures. Australia managed to win the semi-final by 1 wicket. Now, it is moments like these, that one spell or that one unbelievable knock, that can completely lift the team and take it up several notches. And maybe that pumped them up for this big final, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat and then beating India in grand style. People keep writing them off, but they only keep coming back. That's the Aussie mentality, and that's how they do it. That's the reason why they are the only team to have won all 4 ICC tournaments in men's cricket. They have been a dominant side in the ICC tournaments with 6 ODI World Cup wins, 2 Champions Trophy titles, and 1 T20 World Cup and a World Test Championship apiece. They now have added a 4th Under-19 World Cup glory to their name. There is none to match the women either. They have been the most successful side in ICC events. They've won the ODI World Cup on 7 occasions and are the most successful side, clearly. In addition to that, they have won the T20 World Cup on 6 instances. They have power-packed performers who can dominate any attack. Irrespective of the format, irrespective of the tournament, Australia's dominance is unmatched. It's their belief that sets them apart. Their success over India in the recent ICC tournaments is because of that strong mentality. Someone who has been a part of this setup says it himself.
I think obviously you need to have a good squad to start with, and I think Australia has got another very good squad. So that sort of helps. And then I think one thing Australian teams have done well in the past has just built momentum as the tournament's gone along. You know, it's tournament play. So quite often, you know, and it showed in this campaign as well. Australia started slowly, losing the first two games quite badly, and people were starting to write them off. But they've just slowly just built their form and got better and better as the tournament's gone on. Now, the game against Afghanistan was far from perfect, you know, so, you know, Maxwell certainly pulled Australia out of a pretty deep hole there. So that certainly wasn't, you know, the same sort of trajectory. So I think they'll be looking for a really strong performance against Bangladesh leading into that semi-final against South Africa. But, yeah, generally Australian teams are very passionate about playing for Australia. Like most countries, prepare very well for every single game. Very competitive teams. You know, we love to win. You know, that's part of our sort of DNA. And then yeah, just sort of always seem to have a great camaraderie around the group as well. Everyone seems to get on really well and are moving in the same direction. So I certainly see a lot of those traits in this current team as well.
Yeah, Hussy mentions 2-3 key points. He speaks about the winning mentality being in their DNA, the fact that they hate losing, and how they always rally around each other and the camaraderie is always there. They look for those moments, like a Glenn Maxwell moment or a Tom Straker moment here in the Under-19 World Cup, to get them all together and band together. For Australians, pressure motivates them to do better. For India, maybe the moment is becoming bigger than the opposition or their own skills. 3 final losses against the same opposition in less than a year. It's not just about the skill anymore. The mental conditioning seems to be an important factor. Recently, in an interview that I had done with one of the coaches of the Indian cricket team, he said that MS Dhoni's speech in the Indian dressing room during a bilateral series against Australia was an eye-opener. He says MS Dhoni had told the side that one way to get the better of Australia is to play on their ego, get under their skin. Because at that level, it's not just about the talent outweighing talent. Two finalists means both have got their bases, their super skills and talent in place. It's something more, that mental edge that can take the team across the line. That's what Australia seems to have ton of and is making quite the habit of. We are at the end of the show and it's time for Last Serve. Now we know Saudi Arabia's love for sport and it's gradually expanding, of them investing in mega events. But it's also nice to see them not forgetting their roots. You've seen all kinds of races between humans, between machines and even horses, but here's one that takes the cake. Quite something to start your week with, but that does it here on Firstpost. Thanks so much for joining in here today. I'll see you again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Till then, of course, take care. Bye-bye.